we went down and met him and met David. And they said, oh no, she's 12. Doesn't matter. I think it might have said, here, we got sitting over here.
Good morning. Blessed Samhain. Going to talk more about that a little bit later, or Pumpkin Spice Day, depending on where you're from. And welcome to Unity of Palmyra, where centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. We are an open and affirming congregation. We love you exactly as you are in all of your magnificent glory. And we're absolutely delighted that you're joining us today, either in the sanctuary or online. We do have some very festive costumes in the sanctuary this morning. So here's what we'll do. During hugs and handshakes, if you have a fun costume on, come up here and wave to everyone out in Facebook land so they can appreciate you as we are. The cuteness is really high in here this morning. So let's take a minute to ground ourselves, to center ourselves. Just a minute to breathe, to become fully present, to let go of all the busyness before this moment and the list that's waiting for us after this moment. We are just here now. And what a precious gift that is. To take time apart to remember our true nature. To remember that we are both human and divine. That we are both body and spirit, mind and heart. As we shift into an ever-growing awareness of the both and nature of our being. And so during this time, we remember that. And we renew our commitment to embody that. Not just during this hour, but every hour, not just in this place, but in every place. That we take who we are into the world. We take the love that we are into the world. And as always, we enter into this experience with gratitude as we say, thank you for this time. Thank you for whatever safe space you are in this morning. And most especially, thank you for one another. And so it is. Amen. So today we are going to look at the history of Halloween, which is grounded in the Celtic tradition of Samhain, or the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter. It has some pretty interesting rituals that we have, of course, acculturated as we are prone to do in our culture. And so we're going to open this morning with a wonderful chant, Earth My Body. So let's stand and let Janie guide us in that.
Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit. Earth my body, water my blood, air my breath and fire my spirit.
Oh, that was beautiful. Well done. Oh, let's share together now. Oh, that energy is just awesome. Let's share together now in our vision. Centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. And our mission, wherever we are, we provide a welcoming community that inspires and encourages all who gather here through the teaching, sharing, and practice of universal spiritual principles. And one of the ways that we practice those principles is to honor the non-huggers among us. So if you want to hug, we'll bring it on in. If you're more comfortable with the handshake, just extend your hand. And if you want us to leave you completely alone, we understand. Just stay where you are. And if you're wearing a costume, come on up front and wave to our friends in Facebook land.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Sing it with us. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
So a couple of brief announcements as everyone finds their seats. Our prayer chaplains today are Gwen Ward, who is in the sanctuary with us, and Leslie Burris, who is holding space for us from home today. The big announcement is today is our annual meeting. Lunch is being provided by the council this morning. And it is being catered by Lazzaro's. So yeah, you want to come down for lunch. And then immediately after we're done eating, we'll have our annual meeting. We're going to be presenting the new budget, and we're going to be presenting our 3 new council members as soon as you approve them. We had 3 openings, and we have three candidates. So that's going to be an easy vote. So as always, our annual meeting is just a wonderful time to, connect. We're kind of having an annual meeting on top of the little hug meeting that we had Sunday before I got back. So please do come down, and there's even some spooky cupcakes for dessert. So the CPR AED training is November 17th. You do want to look at that handout downstairs because you have to do the online training first, right? So you can't just show up for the in-person training. You need to go on and register and take it. It says it takes about an hour to do that. So please do that. The more people that we have trained on our new AED equipment, the better it will be, because that way we can be guaranteed that there's always somebody in the building who knows how to use it. A reminder that our spiritual social activism team is willing to give you a ride to the polls on November 8th if you need a ride, and I'm also willing to help out with that. So just let us know if you need a ride to the polls in Dauphin or Lebanon County, basically, and we'll be happy to get you there. So, Miss Linda Raber, would you come forward, please? So before we vote on our new council members at the annual meeting, we want to acknowledge the 3 council members who are going off the council and thank them for their incredible commitment and service over the last several years. I know some of them feel like it was a lifetime appointment. But so Gwen, if you would come forward, and Linda Longenecker, if you would come forward. And Jan Parsons is also going off, but she is home right now successfully recovering from hip surgery. So everybody send good vibes, and I think the biggest challenge has been keeping her relatively still, if I had to guess. So prayers for Jan and Lisa, yeah, at this point. So we just have a little plaque for you. This is for Linda. And this one's for Gwen. It says, with love and gratitude for loving service and generous support while serving on the Co-Creation Council. And then we have a quote from Albert Schweitzer. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know, the only ones among you who will be really happy are those who will have sought and found how to serve. So let's please thank these wonderful council members. The experience on council in this community is so positive and so fun. You know, we do a lot of our business ahead of time using the technology available to us. So, you know, we send the things out electronically, we vote electronically. So when we get to the meetings, wait, I wasn't going to say that. Shh. Everyone's going to want to be on council now. So, but it's just, we laugh. People are in the building during our council meetings and they're like, what is going on down there? Because they just hear all this laughter and we have time for discussion and visioning and exploring our passion and supporting this amazing community. And you two have been such a huge part of that, and Jan. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And luckily, Linda Raber is sticking around. So, yeah, I know. All right. Gwen, you're doing double duty. Would you please read the daily word?
Good morning. Protection is the word for today. God is here. I am safe. Once in a while, I enjoy doing things that frighten me. Sharing ghost stories around a campfire, watching a spooky movie, even savoring the uneasy feeling just before thundering down the first hill of the roller coaster. Not me. All these things can feel scary, even though I know I'm in no real danger. If I begin to feel unsafe in any situation, I remember that right where I am, God is. Breathing out, I release tension. My body relaxes. Fearful thoughts begin to dissolve. Breathing in, I think more clearly. Slowly, I regain renewed strength and peace of mind. My confidence returns as I remember that nothing in the world can prevail against the strength, the wisdom, and the love of God. And from Psalms 23, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me.
I am home, my family is here. I feel loved by the ones I hold so dear. And when my family needs me, I promise to be there. And when I need my family, I'm lifted up in prayer.
So this is the time of our service where we consciously enter into an attitude of prayer. So I invite you to take a nice big deep breath. And as we just heard, with every breath, we can know that we are safe. We can know that we live in a benevolent universe. Despite appearances, we know that when we look beyond those appearances and ground ourselves in our principles, in our faith, in our values, that we know all is well. That we know we can make that shift from why is this happening to what can I learn from this. When we can make the shift from this feels like it's against me to knowing that everything in my life can be for me if I am willing to see it that way. That is how we know we are protected. Because we protect ourselves from those thoughts that create worry and anxiety and fear and doubt. We protect ourselves from those winds that swirl around us, from the drama in the world, by grounding ourselves in truth, by breathing in to the experience, allowing it to flow through us, open, receptive, even eager to learn from every moment. It's this understanding that protects us. And so right now, if you are dealing with any challenge in your life, with anything that you feel is against you, I invite you to place it in this circle. The circle created by this community's love and compassion and power and wisdom and courage. And allow that energy to transform your worry, your fear, your doubt into hope, into a sense of possibility. We are not in denial of what is, but we are willing to see it differently. Instead of letting it fill us with fear, we let it fill us with power. And that power is our protection. And as always, we affirm during this time that together or apart, we are always connected at the heart. We are always connected as community. We know in every cell of our being that we are one. And so it is. Namaste.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are beautiful. You are whole. Bonfires dot the rolling hills as figures dance around and round to drums that pulse out echoes of darkness, moving to the pagan sound. Somewhere in a hidden memory, images float before my eyes, a fragrant strides of straw and bonfires dancing till the next sunrise. I can see the light in the distance, trembling in the dark cloak of night. Candles and lanterns are dancing, dancing, walks upon All Souls' Night. Figures of cornstalks bend in the shadows, held up tall as the flames leap high. The green night holds the holly bush to mark where the old year passes by. I can see the lights in the distance, trembling in the dark cloak of night. Candles and lanterns are dancing, dancing a waltz on All Souls' Night. Bonfires dot the rolling hillsides, figures dance around and around to drums that pulse out echoes of darkness, moving to the pagan sound. Standing on the bridge that crosses a river that goes down to the sea, the wind is full of 1,000 voices, they pass by the bridge and me. I can see the lights in the distance, trembling in the dark cloak of night. Candles and lanterns are dancing, dancing a waltz on All Souls' Night. I can see the lights in the distance, trembling in the dark cloak of night. Candles and lanterns are dancing, dancing a waltz on All Souls' Night.
How awesome was that? Ooh, that was awesome, yeah. So I thought it would be interesting, given that tomorrow is Halloween, to explore the history of Halloween and its very, very spiritual, earth-based roots. Because Halloween is one of those holidays, kind of like Christmas, where we kind of co-opted a whole bunch of pagan stuff because it's not okay to celebrate pagan stuff, right? Which I find interesting. So Halloween rose out of a pagan Sabbat or Sabbath, and I thought it was interesting that it's spelled Samhain, but it's actually pronounced Samhain or Samhain. And if you saw the little meme I put up here in the States, we just call it pumpkin spice, right? Yeah. So it was one of the major festivals in ancient times because it commemorated both the end of the harvest season. There are actually a couple of harvest festivals because there are different elements of the harvest, but this was the one at the end. This was the harvest is now over. We've harvested the rest of what's going to sustain us for the winter. Because remember, in those times there was no giant, right? So you had whatever you harvested over the late summer and fall was what kept you alive over the winter. So it was a major celebration. It also, it literally means summer's end, and it also marked the beginning of winter because it's when the days started getting shorter and the nights started getting longer, and it was getting much colder, although it's going to be 70 next week, so whatever, just work with me here. Okay, normally it would be getting colder. at this point. So it was also an acknowledgement of darkness. So celebrated the final harvest and the food that would sustain us for the winter, and it was also an acknowledgement that in every year and in every life there is darkness. There's that tug of what we would call good and evil, right? The light and the dark. It was also, because it commemorates moving into winter, it was also an honoring of death, not as something to be feared, but something that's a normal part of life. And so a big part of the rituals are honoring the ancestors. The Wiccan altars honoring Samhain would have the pumpkins and corn and apples, the late harvest foods. And they would also have bones and skulls and candles, not in a like scary, creepy way, but in a, yeah, we're gonna die one day kind of way. And so honoring the ancestors. There's a lot of bonfires involved in the Samhain festivals. In fact, one of the neatest traditions or rituals that I came upon was, it starts at sunset on the 31st and it goes to sunset on November 1st. That's actually the holiday. And so during that time, all the hearths, again, remember, this is when the hearth was literally sustained your home. It's what heated you, it's what you cooked over, it's what you kept you alive. All the hearths in the individual homes were allowed to go out. And at the same time, the entire community gathered. And there's actually, you can Google this. You can go to the great Google master in the sky. And there's still places in Ireland where you can see in the aisles these huge, they're not really mounds, it's more like they're like grooves where these huge bonfires were held. And so you would be celebrating there, and lots of dancing. I thought of you, Elaine. Lots of dancing and celebrating and, imbibing and having a raucous time. And then at the same time that you were doing that at this huge communal bonfire, the fire in your individual home was allowed to go out. And then at the end of the celebration time, the ritual time, everyone would take a flame from the communal bonfire and go home and light their individual fire again in their home. So it really spoke to the importance of community and how important it was at those times and now that the community comes together, that mutual support. So everybody took their flame and went home and relit the fire at home. There was also a neat ritual called the Dumb Supper, and I'm not quite sure why. So what it was this was one of the biggest aspects of Samhain is that the ancient Gaelics recognized that at this time of year, the veil between the living and the dead was very thin. And it was very easy for the dead, the spirits, to cross over and to come back into physical reality. And so this is where the trick-or-treat came from, by the way. So the family would create a meal, and they would create extra food so that if a spirit of an ancestor came, they would have food to give them, because if they didn't have food, they'd be tricked, right? So this wasn't about kids knocking at your door. This was, do you want the spirits coming to your home to be happy with you or not happy with you, right? And so they called it Dumb Supper, and they would set a whole place with extra food for any spirit that would come in. Of course, I thought of putting cookies out for Santa Claus, but that was something else we co-opted. That's a whole other talk. And then what they did was, and I thought this was really neat too, because again it spoke to community, was that food did not go to waste. Any extra food that had been prepared for any spirits that would come was given to those less fortunate. So it was an opportunity to share the good that you had. So the costumes came about, again, recognizing that the spirits could cross over, right? And so you wanted to wear a costume, so that a scary costume, so that you could scare away any malevolent spirit that was coming back. Because you wanted to welcome the happy ancestors, but you wanted to scare away those who were coming back, who were not happy with you for any reason. They used to carve turnips. Turnips, yep. And they would carve them and put candles in them, and this is as they were going around that night with their, frolicking and bonfiring and eating and welcoming the spirits. The carved turnips were actually their lamp upon the way. So what happened was that when the Irish immigrated to the States, they brought these traditions with them. There was not a plethora of turnips here, but there were lots of pumpkins. So that's how the jack-o'-lantern came about, that they switched from turnips to jack-o'-lanterns. And of course, the costumes that we wear are all about not being attractive to evil spirits, right? We want to scare away the evil spirits. The apple bobbing, that was part of the apple, was a big symbol for Samhain because it was that time of harvest and it was a nurturing food. But the biggest really emphasis that I think is interesting, forget about the commercialization of Halloween, is this emphasis on honoring the ancestors and recognizing that that veil between spirit and the physical is very thin, right? We know in unity that we can access spirit at any time, not in a scary, our ancestors are coming back to frighten us kind of a way, but that we are inherently spiritual beings in skin suits, as my friend Mary likes to say, so that we can access that. And so I guess the significance of this whole celebration honoring that is recognizing that the veil really isn't just thin once a year. The veil is as thin as we allow it to be. Do we allow ourselves to swim in spirit, to straddle that metaphorical line, that veil between the physical realm and the spiritual realm? Because that's really what all of our work is all about. It's not about becoming so spiritual that we're no earthly good. And it's also not about being so focused on, the physical that we forget who we are. Samhain helps us to remember who we are, that we're part of both realms. And the other element that I find particularly interesting is the honoring of the ancestors. And it doesn't have to be your ancestor. When I was putting together this schedule over the summer before I left for sabbatical, it was right around the time that Nichelle Nichols was dying, Uhura from Star Trek. And I just thought, wow, what an amazing woman. And so as I was thinking, I did have an alternate costume. It's actually a Uhura dress, but you know how short those are on the show? That's how short it was. I did not think it was appropriate for the platform, but that got me thinking too. Is like, oh, she was such a role model for so many girls and women, African American, white, of color, whatever. Just her presence and her commitment to her craft and her commitment to making a difference. So as I was preparing for this morning, I thought, when we say honor our ancestors or those who come before us, it doesn't really even have to be someone that's in our ancestral line. So it got me thinking about who do we honor in our hearts? One of the things I love about Nichelle was after the first year on the show, she was very frustrated because she said, how many different ways can I say hailing frequencies open, Captain? Right? And she was going to quit. She had told Gene she was going to quit the show, and somehow she ended up at an event with Dr. King. Turns out he was a huge Star Trek fan. And he came over to her and was just telling her how important it was that she was on that bridge. And so she said to him, well, gosh, this is awkward. I'm paraphrasing here. But, you know, I was really thinking about leaving the show, and he just was aghast. He said, no, you cannot leave the show. You have no idea how important you are. And so she hung in there, and she stayed with the show, and eventually she got more lines than Hailing Frequencies Open. But the other thing that happened is she became a true role model. NASA realized years later that their applicants were shrinking, and that particularly their female applicants were practically non-existent, and their African American applicants were practically non-existent. And they did some soul searching, and they realized that their culture did not support it. And so they connected with Nichelle Nichols, and she became a spokesperson for NASA. You go Google it online, and you will see these amazing videos that she did for NASA. And she went out to schools, and she met with kids and high schoolers and middle schoolers, and just impressed upon them how amazing this was. The applications quadrupled, quintupled. They were getting hundreds of applications because this woman was willing to support this important work and her commitment and staying on the show, which I'm sure she was happy she did eventually. So think of someone that you honor. Someone who has passed. Remember, we're honoring the dead. We're honoring the ancestors, those who have come before us. Who do you honor? And why? This is the holiday where we reflect on that. Interestingly, one of the rituals for Samhain is a burning bowl. So maybe we'll think about that next year. Maybe we'll do 2 burning bowls. I think we could do them all the time, and it would be okay. So the other thing that happens on Samhain is there's a release, right? Honoring the death, not just the death of people, but the death of ideas, the death of beliefs, the death of habits we would like to let go of, the death of resentment. So as we look at who do we revere and why, what are the qualities, what contributions did this person make, we also want to look at who might we be ready to forgive? Who might we be willing to let go of any resentments that we've been holding on to? Any hurt? Anything that we might want to let go of, that we might want to let die? Because the focus on death at Samhain is not a morbid one. It's a healthy one. It's acknowledging that death is part of life, and not just physical death, but letting things that we've been holding on to die away. Did you all know that was all part of Samhain and Halloween? You'll never look at a costume the same way again, will you? Yeah. So it's important when we have these holidays. I saw a cute meme that 2 friends were talking, and the one friend said, I really don't believe in God and all that spiritual stuff, but I'll embrace any holiday where candy is involved. Right? So it's important, I think, as we, go through our year and as we celebrate these holidays, that we become willing to look at where did they spring from? Because I guarantee you there's a deeper meaning to every one of them. And the deeper meaning to Samhain is profound. Embracing nature, loving our spiritual nature, being willing to let go, to let die those things that no longer serve us, and honoring those who have come before us, embracing their qualities and acknowledging their contribution. Let's take some of that into meditation.
These are the gifts of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the Spirit I am ready to receive. Gifts of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the Spirit I am ready to receive. Love, are you ready? Joy, are you ready? Peace, are you ready? Are you ready to receive? These are the gifts of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the Spirit I am ready to receive. Gifts of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the Spirit I am ready to receive. Compassion, I am ready. Forgiveness, I am ready. Laughter, I am ready. I am ready to receive.
So I invite you to breathe. Breathe so deeply that you feel it in your toes. And on your next breath, visualize the breath going down through your body, down through your belly, down through your legs, down through the soles of your feet, down through whatever floor is supporting you, all the way down into the earth. We feel our breath, our life force mingle with the earth, with the dirt and the leaves and the moisture and all the creatures. And we feel ourselves invigorated and renewed and nourished by the earth. And then on the next breath, we feel the breath filling our lungs. And we visualize the breath spreading out into every capillary, every muscle, every organ. We see the breath. We see the air moving through us. On the next breath, we focus on our heart. We feel the beating. We honor the life-giving blood that flows through our veins and our arteries. nourishing us, sustaining us, feeding us. And then on our next breath, we feel that breath going up, up our spine, up through our throat, up out the top of our head. We see the breath dancing with the spirit that surrounds us. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. These are the gifts that sustain us. These are the gifts that feed and nurture compassion and love and wisdom and courage, peace, love, and joy. And as we accept these gifts with gratitude, we also become willing to let go of anything that is not consistent with these gifts. And so on the altar of Samhain, we lay down any fear, worry, doubt, resentment, we lay it on the altar. We burn it in the bonfire. We allow it to die and pass away. And we open ourselves to receiving the gifts of the earth and the gifts of the Spirit.
These are the gifts of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the Spirit, I am ready to receive. The gifts of the Spirit, love, joy, and peace. Gifts of the Spirit, I am ready to receive.
Thank you. And so we are now ready to receive your gifts. How's that for a segue? Sorry, I heard some moans. Okay, that was pretty bad. Actually, this is the time where we thank you with so much gratitude for your many gifts and your incredible generosity in supporting the work of this community. We are very, very, very grateful. Thank you.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my master from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, from my surprise,
He did the mash,
he did the monster
the
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the match.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash from my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrodes.
They did the mash.
They did the monster
The
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They did
smash.
the mash.
It caught on in a
They
flash.
did the match.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun.
Wow,
The party had just begun.
shoot, wow.
The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all were digging the sounds. Igor on change, backed by his baying hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with their vocal group, the Crypt Kick of
The
Five.
match.
They did a monster
The
mash.
monster match.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
did the match.
It caught on in a
They
flash.
made the match.
They did the monster mash. Out from his coffin, Drax's voice did ring. Seems he was troubled by just one thing. He opened the lid and shook his fist and said, "Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist?
Now the match.
It's now the monster
The
mash.
monster match.
And it's a graveyard
Now the
smash.
match.
It's caught on in a flash.
Now the match.
It's now the monster mash. Now everything's cool, Drax a part of the band. And my monster mash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. When you get to my door, tell them Boris sent you.
Do you think you can mash?
Then we can monster mash
Monster mash.
and do the graveyard
The
smash.
monster mash.
You'll catch on in a
The
flash.
monster mash.
Then you can monster mash.
Help me!
Lest we take ourselves too seriously, let's stand and share in our unity blessing. And let's turn around and face each other and also bless our Facebook and YouTube friends. Together, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. Also, we realized that we forgot October birthdays. So before it's November, we're going to do October birthdays. So we'll have birthday Sunday twice in 2 weeks in a row. Okay, are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lisa, Steve, Jerry, Dan, Abigail, Dave, and Karen. Happy birthday to you and many more. So October birthdays, just so you know, we didn't forget you. Okay, let's sing the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let
this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well. So a quick announcement. We're going to head downstairs. I saw them go out to get the food. I don't know if it's back yet, so we'll just be patient. And a quick note about the meeting. So normally, I would give a minister's report at the meeting. This year, I've decided you're going to give the minister's report at the meeting. So I'm telling you this now, so you have time to think about it while you're eating your pasta and your cupcakes. I want to hear from you what you thought our greatest successes and challenges were over the last year since last October. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you this year what I think they are. I want to hear what you think they are. All right? And I'm just giving you a heads up because I know us introverts, we got to process things before we pop them out. So have a wonderful week. Blessed Samhain. Happy Halloween. I love you. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.